Let's see if I can stack them on top of each other. This is a disaster. Hey guys, it's Icy again from Icy Studio, and if you're new here, so welcome back to another video on creativity and mental health. And as I've been mentioning in my previous videos, my mental health has been going through ups and downs, and it has been driving me crazy. And I've been trying to do all sorts of things, like taking breaks, doing different things, and at one point I got burnt out, and since then, it's kind of been hard to feel creatively inspired. But now I'm kind of slowly getting there. So one day I decided to buy a few books. I usually borrow books from the library because I'm not a rereader. I usually read young adult fiction, sci-fi, thriller, a little bit of horror. But now I find myself wanting to feel inspired. So I bought a few books. Why did you buy so many books, you may ask? Well, I honestly thought that it would be good for my creativity and to get the creativity going. I get all of my creative inspiration from Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, but there's nothing like having a tangible reference where you can just like flip. But it's different when you've got like a tangible resource where you can hold it in your hands and flip through the pages. So that helps me feel a bit more creatively inspired. So in case you don't know, I'm a calligraphy and bullet journaling artist. I still feel a little weird saying that, but anyway, I'm into calligraphy, creative bullet journaling, and floral illustrations. And you'll see that the books that I've purchased are actually related to those subjects. So lately I've been wanting to do something different and get into hand lettering. And I've purchased all of these courses online, right? And I haven't done any single one of them. The first two books I will show you are by Abbey. Again, hand lettering is something that I want to get into, something that I want to improve. But you know, sometimes when you're a beginner at something, you suck. And I suck at hand lettering, and it just feels a bit discouraging right now. And then I find that when I try hand lettering, I automatically default to calligraphy. So it's kind of frustrating for me to learn hand lettering. But anyway, the first book that I bought was Abbey's Hand Lettering A to Z Workbook. So in all honesty, if you know the basics of hand lettering, you probably wouldn't need this book because you can find all of the information online. It also runs you through the basic tools like pens and pencils that are commonly used in the community, essential terminology, the anatomy of letters, fonts and type styles like serif, and non-serifs, and modern and script. And it also walks you through how to construct layouts and what styles that work together. And it also has worksheets for the different type styles, which is really cool because you can actually practice on the workbook. I basically bought this because I love Abbey and everything that she stands for. I love her hand lettering, how she does her lettering layouts, and her creative journals. And then I decided to buy her other book called Hand Lettering A to Z. And the difference between these two is that this is a workbook and this is more like a reference book. So this book also talks about, again, the tools and materials like paper, pens, pencils, brush. Like her workbook, it also goes through the different types of lettering styles, which I like looking at because it just gives me more ideas and inspiration on how to incorporate those styles into creating a lettering composition. My most favorite part of this book is just looking at the lettering composition examples, and that's something that I want to do in the future too. So hopefully these books will further inspire me to learn more hand lettering. And another hand lettering related book I got is The Hand Lettering Manual by Barber. So this is actually something that I've been seeing in the hand lettering community a lot, like especially with Elizabeth Gray from The Greater Good. I love the way she creates letters and she makes it so unique to her, and I wish I could do that. Again, the hand lettering manual just goes through like the lettering basics, and I love this page where it has like the anatomy of letter forms and just so beautifully put together. And there's also different lettering styles. What I like about this, it gets into the technicalities of constructing letters, like how far the letters should be from one another and how some letters are different from each other. Like some letters take the shape of a square, some letters take the shape of a circle, and it's just really interesting how much work goes into each letter of the composition. So if hand lettering is something that you want to get into, I recommend getting these books because they show you all of the basics, the foundations of hand lettering, what materials to use, the anatomy of letters, the different styles of the letters. With Abbey's workbook, you can actually practice along. With the lettering manual, there's no worksheets, but then again, you can always practice on paper or do it digitally. And another calligraphy slash hand lettering related book that I bought is Copperplate from A to Z by Sarah Richardson. Fun fact, Sarah Richardson and I follow each other on Instagram. We actually both joined this envelope exchange last Halloween. That was the time when I was so busy and so burned out that I didn't even get to do it. I'm so sorry. I'll show you her letter. So this was actually from Sarah Richardson. Look how gorgeous. I just cannot with... Yeah, so can you just take a moment to appreciate her calligraphy? So anyway, I didn't even know that she had an actual book. So when I saw this book on Amazon, I was like, holy fuck, she my pen pal. I didn't even write back, I'm sorry. What I love about this book is it walks you through the very fundamentals of copperplate calligraphy. Originally, I started with modern calligraphy. I attended a few workshops and then I decided to do Yang Hei Chung of Logos Calligraphy's copperplate course online, and I enjoyed it with all my heart and with all my soul. So when I got this book, I got really excited and it made me feel more inspired to practice copperplate more. So it walks you through the very fundamentals of copperplate calligraphy, like the history, the supplies, the nibs, the pen holders, the inks, and the paper that you can use. And because copperplate calligraphy is much more, what word do I use? Precise and more strict than modern calligraphy in terms of the angle and the actual height and width of the letters. In my personal practice, I find that copperplate calligraphy is more restrictive in terms of like adding my personal style, but then again, I've been practicing modern calligraphy longer that I have found my flow with modern calligraphy. But with copperplate, I'm still finding that uniqueness, my own uniqueness with copperplate calligraphy. These copperplate calligraphy artists are just, I don't know how they do it and I want to learn how to do it. And it goes through the basic strokes of calligraphy and it dives into the specific forms of every single lowercase and uppercase letter, because with calligraphy the letters are actually made up of strokes, and when you put those strokes together, that's when you create a letter. And by practicing these basic strokes, you actually have better letter formation. And flourishing is something that I also do with my calligraphy. In case you don't know what flourishing is adding those little embellishments that make the calligraphy piece look more styled, add a bit more design to it. That is something that this book also goes through. And because calligraphy is mostly used in weddings, like for example for envelope addressing, Sarah also includes this little tutorial on how to write your own envelopes and place cards. And it also has like tips on how to do calligraphy compositions and how to incorporate flourishings into those compositions. And the last pages of the books are actually worksheets for the lowercase and uppercase letters. So I highly recommend this book to people who are trying to get into copperplate calligraphy and don't want to invest in a course yet. But I highly, 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 highly recommend either going to a course or a workshop, because nothing beats having a teacher guide you. Those are my hand lettering and calligraphy books that I have bought. And because I love drawing flowers, I decided to buy flower reference books. So before this, I actually bought Ali K's Modern Florals and Florals by Hand, and I absolutely love them. I love just looking at the floral illustrations and how she draws them step by step. So I decided to get more inspiration from more sources. So I got Floriography by Jessica Rue. I don't know if I'm saying that right. So this is basically a picture book of flowers, their meanings. I have zero knowledge when it comes to flowers. Back then, the only flower that I knew was rose, and maybe a sunflower or maybe a daisy. But other than that, flowers were just flowers. I mean, I found them pretty, but I didn't really bother knowing all the different names of these different flowers and their meanings. And now that I am very into floral and I incorporate them into my work, I try to research all of the flowers out there, and I find this book very interesting because, you know, there's meanings behind the flowers. Like I didn't know an anemone symbolizes forsaken love. I've been drawing anemones for so long thinking that they were the symbol of healing, because when I googled, that's what it said. But maybe flowers mean different things in different countries. I don't know. So there's this one flower here, I just can't remember what it was, but it symbolizes betrayal. And it also says at the bottom, oh, you can pair it with this other flower so you can let that person know that, bitch, you betrayed me. And this book goes through flowers from A to Z, all of the flowers I know and didn't know of. And then at the end, there's like flower bouquets for marriage, for sympathy, for regret and sorrow, a bouquet for apology. I didn't know all those things. And there's this like a bouquet for warnings. I mean, I always thought that flowers were a symbol of, I don't know, admiration. Here are flowers, I like you. But in this book, it's like, I hate you, here are flowers that symbolize hate. I wouldn't go that far. In today's day and age, would people be like, oh, what does this flower mean? Is she trying to tell me something negative? Hindi, diba? I mean, if you give someone flowers, that means something nice. Usually, I don't know, to me, I don't know about you, but anyway. And this behemoth of a book, Botany for the Artist. Is it botany or botany? I don't know. I didn't know that it was actually a full-on lesson on different types of plants. So it goes through historical paintings or drawings of plants, to properly draw plants and how to add detail. Anyone can add a personal touch to their floral drawings because people add details in different ways. So you can draw a basic outline and then you just add details in different ways. And I think that's what's really unique about drawing florals. Actually has all of the plants grouped into like I don't know, their scientific names like cones, flowering flowers and leaves. And this is very interesting because, you know, I just go like, oh yeah, stem, leaves, petals, thing in the middle. I don't know what those things are called. I just draw them. In my defense, you don't have to know every single thing about something to be passionate about something. So anyway, this is a very interesting book and it's very detailed. I feel like this is a good way to really get to know the nitty-gritty details of plants. I probably wouldn't read this from cover to cover, but I find that it's a really helpful and informative reference book. So the next book I got is The Secret Lives of Color. To be honest, I suck with combining colors. If you see my Instagram, I default to black and white. Sometimes I go on Pinterest and I look at color combinations. That's the best I can do. And colors are something that I want to learn about. I just want to have something that can be a reference. And what's interesting about this book is that it goes through all of the colors, all of the shades, gives you a little history on each color. Like with this book, it surprises you with the actual meanings of some flowers, and this book surprises you with the history and meanings of colors, and I think that's very interesting. To be honest, I have been bullet journaling for 4 years now, and I run bullet journal workshops online, but I have not read this book. I feel like such a hypocrite. In my defense, just because you're passionate about something does not mean you have to know every single detail of that thing. Like for example, if you like the movie Titanic, you don't have to know every single thing about what actually happened in the Titanic, when Kate Winslet was born, she's married, what happened to Leonardo DiCaprio, you know, all of those things. You don't have to know every single detail. So I feel like with bullet journaling, it is really an individualized journey, finding what works for you and what doesn't, and this is done through trial and error, and there's so many sources of inspiration out there that are free, and that's what I have been doing the past 4 years. I just look at a lot of posts on Instagram and on Pinterest, and you know, oh, I like this, I pinned this, and then I tried this for my next spread. But now that I am teaching how I got into bullet journaling, I want to know the actual origins of the bullet journaling method, and I feel like I already know the contents of this book. I just want to dig a little deeper, and look how pretty the cover is. It goes deeper than your to-do lists. It is really about intentional and purposeful bullet journaling. So like I mentioned earlier, I have been going through major big creative blocks that I can't actually create things, and it is sad because creating things used to be like my way to unwind, and now it's like so I decided to buy these activity books, and I'm hoping that it'll kickstart my creativity. So this book is called 100 Days of Drawing by Jennifer Orkin Lewis. So I saw this because of an ad on my Instagram, and then I decided to buy it because it just looks so cute. So it basically has creative activities for 100 days, and it ranges from doodling to adding colors to adding patterns, pretty much anything that you can think of. So what I like about, you know, books like these is that there's no correct way of actually completing the art. I would love to see what other people create in books like these, because 100% sure that I would draw something completely different from another person who's doing this activity book as well. And another thing that bothers me about my creativity at the moment is that I'm actually creating to impress others and not so much for myself. And I'm hoping that these books will help me create for myself again and not care about what it looks like, not care whether it's Instagrammable, if you know what I mean. So these books are similar to the 100 Days of Drawing, except that these go on for a whole year. Very intimidating because it feels like that is something that I cannot commit to. And one is nature themed, which I like because again, I love drawing flowers and leaves and trees, and that is something that I really want to improve on. So I'm hoping that this book will help me, but then again, it's all up to me, not this book. And 100 Days of Art, this is basically art in general, so hopefully this will help me too, but I really don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this consistently. So anyway, those are the 11 books that I have bought. If you have ever used any of these books, the 365 Days of Art or the 100 Days of Art, please let me know, and I would like to see how you went and if you have commitment issues like me. And yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video, and hopefully my creativity will be back, and bye!